Who want one last trip to the long trail?
Kunimitsu stole the Yoshi blade at one point, so they probably will have something. Yeah, Kunimitsu. So for those of you who don't know the lore between those two characters, Yoshimitsu is the leader of the Manji clan. The clan has existed for thousands of years. When the leader dies, the next in line takes control of the clan, like they're next in line, and so they're next in line. And then they dons Yoshimitsu's armor, and they uses his sword, and then they assumes the title of Yoshimitsu. Like, Yoshimitsu isn't the name, it's a title, right? It's a title of the leader. So if you're the leader, your name could be Michael Murray, but you're the leader of the clan, so your name is now Yoshimitsu, right? And the second in command, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the second in command was Kunimitsu. Maybe I'm citing like an incorrect source, but basically Kunimitsu was a high-ranking member of the clan, and she followed Yoshimitsu's rules, right? Until one day she decided to start stealing from people. Well, they all steal, but they steal with the greater good of humanity. They steal Michael Yoshimitsu Murray. Yeah, exactly. Hey, what's up, Blood Moon? How's it going? So it's like, she was kind of a good guy until it's like Robin Hood. Robin Hood steals from the rich, give to the poor. Kunimitsu started stealing for herself, and that was it. And Yoshimitsu told her, you can't do that, right? And then when she stole the pendant from Michelle, I think she tried to steal it, or she did steal it. But basically Yoshimitsu was like, all right, that's it, you're out of here. Kicked her out of the goon squad. You can't goon with us no more. Kicked her out. She left into exile, and she had a grandfather who was a swordsmith. I thought Yoshimitsu was the name of the sword. Yeah, Yoshimitsu was the name of the sword and the leader of the clan. Both were named Yoshimitsu. She had a father who was a swordsmith, and they basically wanted the sword. They basically was like, okay, he's going to kick us out of it. He's going to kick my niece out of the clan or whatever. I don't know. Daughter, I don't know. But basically, they didn't like that Yoshimitsu kicked them out. So they came up with this plan to come back and steal the sword. So they came back and tried to steal Yoshimitsu's sword, and Yoshimitsu beat her up and sent her into exile again. But in my opinion, Yoshimitsu should have killed her. Yoshimitsu should have killed her at that point. Yoshimitsu exiled her already, and then she came back and tried to steal the most prized possession. Because maybe not that many people know the power of Yoshimitsu's sword. They may not know what it's like fully about. But her being a high-ranking member of the clan, she understands full and well not only what that sword means for the clan, but also its special properties. So trying to steal that is something that you can't do. You can't do that. There's a point of no return, and that was it. Yoshimitsu should have killed her. But Yoshimitsu is very forgiving, and he's trying not to be vengeful. Because also the sword is evil. The sword is evil, and it tries to feed on souls to become more stronger and evil and whatnot. This is why in non-canonical cutscenes, you often see the sword possess Yoshi, because the sword is constantly trying to take him over and just take over. The sword is just evil. It's just an evil little demon sword. And Yoshimitsu keeps it in check, right? But the sword wants blood and it wants hunger. This is why Yoshimitsu doesn't kill people, because he would be feeding the sword and make the sword stronger. So that could be a reason why he spared Kunimitsu, but he should have killed her. But since he didn't kill her, she went into exile again, and she eventually had a daughter, and that daughter heard the story of the mother's, exile and disgrace, and how the sword was a part of all of it. And the daughter basically didn't like that. The daughter didn't like that, and she came back for not only revenge, but for the sword once more. So that's the story of Kunimitsu and the daughter, right? And also, Side note, the original Kunimitsu is probably dead. In the Tekken 7 story, it said that she was dying of some illness, and Kunimitsu 2 went to go visit her, and then they basically was like, you know, just talking and whatnot. And then the mother told the daughter the story of the sword and all that stuff. And then that's what's motivated the Kunimitsu to go do what she did. Well, she didn't do it canonically. And canonically, Yoshimitsu and Kunimitsu hasn't met. Her canonical story is only her going to her mother, learning the story, and then wanting to go to Yoshi. She canonically has not met Yoshi yet. Side note, another side note, Yoshimitsu gives off the illusion that he's immortal. The Yoshimitsu keeps it a secret that when the clan leader dies, that he is replaced. They don't want the outsiders to know that. They want outsiders to think that Yoshimitsu is like a immortal demon. And I mean, it's just like, what if you were going up against Yoshimitsu? If you thought he was an immortal demon, wouldn't you be more terrified than if you just thought he was, like, obviously Yoshimitsu is very skilled on its own, but if you thought that he was unkillable, you're like, oh yeah, not only is this guy a master, you know, ninja, samurai, ninjutsu, all of that, he knows some sorcery, because you know Yoshimitsu studied exorcism, right? That's how in Tekken 8, that's why he lost his Tekken 7 armor. In Tekken 8, in his bio, it says that he was searching through the caves of the Mishima's layers, like Mishima caves where they were doing exorcism, and basically it was like some like relic or something that still had some demonic energy attached to it, and that that energy connected with his sword, and once again his sword had enough power to try to overtake him, and then Yoshimitsu committed seppuku to restrain the sword. But in committing seppuku, he destroyed his armor, his Tekken 7 armor. So he had to go get new armor. So that's why he has this armor in Tekken 8, right? But Yoshimitsu knows some stuff. The Tekken 8, the game, doesn't really like showcase everything he does. He could teleport, he could turn invisible, he could shoot projectiles. He used to be able to throw projectiles and tag too as an item, but he could throw projectiles. Yoshimitsu could do some stuff. But imagine fighting against that, but then also thinking he's immortal. The Yoshimitsu that's in Soul Calibur, it's two of them. It's two different Yoshis. The first Yoshi is the one who built the Manji clan. The second one is who took it over after the second guy died, right? And he kind of started this idea of like, let's make our leader immortal, right? So he's the one, the first one started it, but the second one started the trend of like, all the Yoshimitsus must don the armor and carry the sword, and you know, make the name Yoshimitsu live throughout time. Lydia was really cool too, but I think that Leroy and Lydia lost a significant amount of aura going into Tekken 8. I don't know what it is, but Lydia had a certain type of seriousness about her. Like she meant business, right? She meant business. Heihachi was, you know, stationing troops. This is her story. Heihachi, well, I'm skipping the backstory. There's a whole backstory. But what's relevant to like her involvement in the story, Heihachi was stationing troops in Poland. She said, remove those troops. Heihachi said, no. If you want me to remove the troops, come fight me. And then she said, okay. She was like, bet, I'll fight you. And her to know who Heihachi is and to challenge him in that way was powerful. I know a lot of people don't want characters to be on the level of Paul Phoenix. Paul Phoenix and Haran can rival the Mishimas, right? And it's not hard to believe that other characters can do it as well. And, you know, Lydia was seeming to be a character who could rival the Mishimas. And her going toe-to-toe to Heihachi was seeming to be incredible. But in Tekken 8, she got not only stumped out by Heihachi, but it was a 3v1. Heihachi beat Yoshi, Eddie, and Lydia all at once. Which I think really should not have happened. It's out of character for Yoshimitsu to lose that battle. Yoshimitsu could have very easily told Lydia and Eddie to distract Heihachi. Yoshimitsu would turn invisible and go behind Heihachi and stab him. That's it. Yoshimitsu's sword has a special property to where it immediately kills evil. If it just touches you, because the sword likes evil, right? So if the sword touches you and deems you evil, it steals your life. That's why Yoshimitsu steals life. You think Yoshimitsu steals life just because of the game? No, he steals life because that's what his sword does. His sword likes the violence. His sword likes the evil. If it deems you evil, it wants all of that life energy. Give me all of that, and then you're dead. Yoshimitsu saved Basquinovich from Kazuya. Oh yeah, Nina was probably with him at the time, something like that. Yeah, saved him from Kazuya. The laboratory. He actually very on subject right now, right? Basquinovich created Roger and Alex and was creating other things for Kazuya, and Yoshimitsu broke him out of that laboratory. Lydia getting bodied by Heihachi and Tekken 8 took Aura. Yeah, took Aura. They should have never made it a 3v1. They should have never made it a 3v1. Making it a 3v1 took Aura from all of them. Lydia should have just... Lydia lost Aura. Yoshimitsu lost Aura. All three of them together should have been able to take down Heihachi. Yoshimitsu alone arguably could, but you can make an argument for it being a one-on-one. Because here's... Okay, look. Here's what I'll say, right? In Tekken 5, I believe it was, Raven fought Heihachi. Now, to be fair, I think at the time Heihachi was a little injured because he, faked his death. Heihachi Mishima is dead. That whole thing, right? So Heihachi wasn't 100%, but Raven was able to tussle with him. And Raven got stronger since then, and you would have to assume he would be able to really hold his own. Now, we know that Raven and Yoshimitsu are on par with one another, so why can't Yoshimitsu hold his own? Heihachi did my boy Eddie wrong. Yeah, that was real bad. That was real bad. And also, Heihachi didn't even acknowledge Yoshi. They have a long-lasting history. Yoshimitsu stolen prize money from Heihachi, I believe, twice. Every tournament that they do, they have money, right? King and Iron Fist tournament, they have money for it, right? As a prize. And Heihachi and Yoshi stole that money twice. Heihachi should be like, okay, I finally got you. The guy who's been stealing millions of dollars from me and giving it to poor people. That's how Heihachi should be feeling. That boy Yoshi would steal from Heihachi and then go give it to poor people. That boy, Heihachi. Heihachi really would be upset. He would not let that go. Heihachi strikes me as someone who's petty. He has been beefing with his son for like 30 years. He's petty, bro. He would not let Yoshimitsu slide off the hook,